The Sony Empire strikes back. Well, not exactly, but it's impossible to deny that the days of the console wars are over. The age of the studio acquisitions has begun. Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 267 of the It's Obvious podcast. My name's Garrett Drake. I'm joined online by Jacob Alka.
Good morning, Garrett. Happy Sunday. Hope you're doing okay. I missed you, and I'm excited to talk about what the hell we've been up to.
Yeah, likewise, brother. I'm doing well. It is a beautiful Sunday morning, clear blue skies in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm thrilled to talk to you about all kinds of entertainment news, of course, video games. And I don't know if you caught my 3 pop culture references in the intro there. Of course, I got the Empire Strikes Back reference. I got the no, not exactly from Spider-Man 2. I think it's a Spider-Man 2 reference. And then, of course, Lord of the Rings. Yeah. So
I didn't catch the Spider-Man one.
Our humble little video game podcast, but yeah, the Spider-Man one's very, very subtle. But
yeah, but I've only seen each of those movies once. It's been a very long time.
The Raimi trilogy, you've only seen each of them once? That's incredible, man.
Yeah,
man, I've probably collectively seen those movies dozens of times over the years.
Yeah,
Still a big fan.
I was never a big fanboy of them. I definitely think the first 2 are really good movies. Second one in particular.
Yeah, leading up to No Way Home, I watched all the Raimi films again. I watched all the Amazing Spider-Man films.
I remember
and of course, Holland's. Yeah, and it was an awesome ride. And I love that we can consider now sort of, I'll be in the mood like, oh, let's watch just all the Lord of the Rings movies. Let's watch all the Harry Potters, all the Star Wars. But now we have let's watch all the Spider-Man movies because they're all technically connected now, which is awesome.
I had a dream earlier this week about Harry Potter. And it got me in such a mood to want to watch all the movies again. So I think I'm going to do that soon.
Harry Potter?
Yeah, because it's been a couple of years for me.
Yeah, man. Can never go wrong with Harry Potter. I had the realization recently watching Mandalorian, which I can't wait to talk to you about. Are you all caught up on Book of Boba Fett?
No.
Oh, dude. It has become so freaking good. It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's been blowing my mind.
Now I want to watch it.
Yeah, so it's phenomenal, and I will say that I haven't been more hyped for the next episode of a show, specifically Star Wars related content, in many years. And the next episode on Wednesday, I'm highly anticipating. So
that's high praise.
Yeah, dude. And I'm not the only one to say it. A lot of people on Twitter, if you're connected to anything Star Wars, or a lot of people are saying the same things. So super, super excited for that.
Yeah, I just canceled my Netflix, so I have some funds to transfer over to Disney Plus now.
Man, that's one I don't think I'll ever cancel because I'm such a movie fan that even if there isn't some new original Netflix content, there's almost always an older movie that I haven't seen in a while that I want to rewatch, or older movies I've never seen that I'll get into.
I just haven't touched it in a few months, actually. So I just thought I was wasting my money. What really happened is that I put one of my parents has their card on the account now, and not me. So I'm not paying for it.
Got you. That's a major perk for sure.
Technically, I still have access, but I just don't use it. So
it's getting expensive now. I think I don't know if they've already upped the price or if it's increasing this year, but it's going to $20 or something, isn't it?
I thought it was 15 or 16.
Yeah, that's still 20. Pretty hefty for a subscription.
Yeah, and that's just for the basic, the
I saw that. I think Amazon Prime is increasing dramatically too.
Yeah.
So, which is honestly surprising because I know Amazon, as far as I'm aware, aside from, of course, a lot of their employees suffering over the course of the pandemic, which is really shitty and it sucks. But as a corporation, they thrived. They've thrived this whole time and even grown since COVID began. So it's kind of shocking to me that they're upping their price. Whereas was something that increased recently that made sense to me, having to recuperate costs. I think Disney, specifically Disney parks, have altered some of their prices, specifically the way their fast pass system works, because they're having to make up for all the money they lost during the time they were closed.
Need to make even more money.
Yeah, I think it was who went recently. I was just talking to, it was Andy, Zach's little brother, and his wife went to Disney, and they were telling me about how frustrating the fast pass system is now.
Do you remember what they said? I'm actually curious.
I think it's you have to buy individual fast. You can't just buy the general fast pass for I think formerly you say I want to ride Buzz Lightyear Star Command or whatever between the hours of 11:30 and 12:30. Well, now it's even more. It's an even tighter window, and something about having to buy one individually. You can't really buy them in bulk or something. I can't remember the way he described it, but it sounded very tedious and annoying.
Yeah.
So
do you do it online or do you have to like go to the ride?
I think it is online. I think you have to do it all online.
Okay.
So
maybe like through an app or something.
Yeah. But speaking of Disney, dude, I know it's kind of like throwing us off topic already, but I'm like long overdue for a Disney trip.
Mm-hmm.
I love Disney.
I haven't been in a very long time.
In a while. Because my mom and Preston's mom go together all the time. They go like multiple times a year. They're even going in a couple of weeks. And my mom told me, she's like, you guys are welcome to come. You just got to hash out $1,000 to afford it. Because the price for like lodging and the park hopping tickets for like 3 days collectively is around $1,000. I'm like, I don't know if I want to pay that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I would consider that.
I would pay $500 to go for 2 days and like stay at my aunt's place nearby.
There you go.
I'm not gonna pay that much, I don't think. So
yeah.
Anyway, would love to go back. That and Universal and Islands of Adventure for Harry Potter World, especially.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of whatever those parks are called, the Universal Studios. I just think it's a step behind Disney and just in terms of everything, but they have some really cool rides, and I really, really like the Harry Potter stuff, obviously. So
yeah,
that stuff almost makes up for everything else that I don't like about it.
For sure. Yeah, Disney has some pretty impressive rides. I think by far the most impressive ride I've ever ridden is Rise of the Resistance at Hollywood Studios.
See, I haven't been
that ride is like a beautiful
been
blend of their legacy of practical animatronic effects and the digital age. It's like a beautiful blend. And I think a couple rides at Universal do that just as well. With Transformers specifically is really impressive. And also the way they kind of redesigned and improved the Spider-Man ride is very similar. And even Harry Potter to a degree with the Gringotts Bank ride.
Yeah.
Never forget watching Preston cry the first time we rode that ride together. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wanted to cry. I felt the burn, but Preston full on shed tears.
I wish I got
ride.
So emotional about stuff that I like cried, you know?
Yeah, it's funny. It's rare for me to cry at sad things. I mostly cry at things that are just so epic and inspiring that it brings me to tears.
Yeah.
Like anime can make me cry more than like any Disney movie. It's like watching like a young underdog overcome the odds. I think it's because that's like a theme that relates to me so personally in many ways throughout my life that always gets me. Mm-hmm. How's that nanner?
It's good. I just gave you a screenshot.
Nice. I had yogurt for breakfast and of course enjoying a hot cup of black coffee.
Black coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I only drink black coffee when I have to. It's not like my go-to, you know? Like I'd rather have some milky goodness in there.
I understand that. I mean, I love a latte from time to time. I like a cappuccino from time to time, but 99% of my days are just black coffee. So,
I mean, it saves you some time and like headache in terms of like traveling, and you know, it's much easier to find a cup of black coffee than, you know, all the stuff you need to put into it.
Yeah.
Especially if
I've kind of found like black coffee can be similar to tasting like various whiskeys or wine or even like IPAs to a degree, where they all have nuances in flavor. Mm-hmm. And
they're all
coffee can very much be the same way. And there's a handful of really good coffee shops in Atlanta that all roast their own beans, and they all have a lot of different varieties of flavors. It isn't like night and day, like, well, this clearly tastes like this and this clearly tastes like that. But it's like the subtleties you can start to pick up on are always a fun experience. So I appreciate that.
I'm glad. I appreciate
Jacob,
you.
Yeah, I appreciate you too, Jacob. Bring me up to speed. It's been obviously 2 weeks since our last episode. Unfortunately, we couldn't get together last week just due to scheduling conflicts. But bring me up to speed. What's going on in your life? How you feeling? And what's new with you?
Honestly, not a lot of good stuff, to be honest. Well, today in particular, I feel like crap. I finally got around to getting my booster shot. Went to a CVS, and everything was smooth. You know, got in and out within 10 minutes. I just walked around the store because they recommended that I do that.
In case you collapse, we'll resuscitate you before you walk out of here and drive home.
Exactly. But I mean, I felt fine. Then last night, you know, my arm started to get a little stiff or sore, like right where they gave me the shot. And went to bed. You know, I was feeling a little exhausted. but I wasn't like feeling bad by any means. So I went to bed earlier than I normally would have, and then I woke up this morning feeling pretty achy, and I had a headache and didn't feel too great. So a little slow start on my morning, but I eventually rolled out of bed, took 3 Motrins, and now I'm feeling actually pretty better now. Not all the way, but we're getting there. In other news, I think something's wrong with me in terms of like my health. So my knuckles have been swelling up over the last few weeks for unknown reasons to me. Like it's affecting how I grip things. I don't know if you could see it in the camera, but they're a little pink. But sometimes they get like really red. So automatically I'm jumping to, I have arthritis, right? But
at 30 years old.
Yeah, 30 years old, which
Roughly.
happens. But there are multiple kinds of arthritis. So I went to my pediatric last Tuesday, and she told me that she thinks I have something else, which I don't think I do. But despite that, they took some blood work, and I was able to access the results on Thursday of last week. And the only thing that stuck out to me was that I have a really low white blood cell count, which is not good. And I have to wait till not this Tuesday, but the next one to go back to the doctor to talk to someone about it. So
Weird.
I'm kind of just waiting around till that appointment. But so what I think I have through Google research that I'm an expert at.
Yeah, that's always a dangerous
I know.
Path to tread
But,
when you're not feeling well.
I think I might have something called rheumatoid arthritis, which is an arthritis, or it's a disease that like attacks your joints. Your immune system attacks your joints for some reason, and there's not really a cure for it. But like usually,
Are there like remedies at least? That alleviate?
Yeah. There's like anti-inflammatory drugs. There's
Okay.
there's biologics, which are like injections that help you. And then there's stuff like ibuprofen that helps too. But it's sort of just been me the last couple of weeks trying to, see what causes soreness and like what, like even like things that I'm eating. Like there were like probably 2 weeks back, I couldn't eat like any processed foods because it would just upset my stomach and then I would have diarrhea. It was weird, but it's a really weird disease. But I mean, I'm sitting here talking about it, but I don't even know if I have it yet. No, that's
Right. Yeah. Just speculation. Well, don't let your mind go there too much, Jacob. That can be a very, although maybe temporary, just damaging effect on your psyche day to day.
Yeah, it has been, to be honest. But I think I'm managing it well. I'm not getting too down in the dumps about it. I can still do most things that I normally do. Just sometimes, like for example, on a back day at the gym, like I've had to lower the weight a little bit. If I'm trying to pull too much, like on a bar towards me, my index finger and my middle finger will swell up a little bit. So I just need to be a little careful. But it hasn't really been that bad. There's been days where there's barely any swelling, and then there's days where there's a lot. So it's hard to really determine why that is. So, but this lady this pediatric that I went to, or pediatrician that I went to go see, she thinks I have some like finger disease that like, so apparently there's like a disease where I think it's called Raynaud's disease, but it's like blood has a hard time getting to your extremities, like your fingers and your toes, which I've typically had like cold fingertips and cold toes, but it's never like, I don't have any of the other like effects of that disease. Like the only thing that's wrong is that I have like knuckle swelling, and like my ankles are a little red. So it's like multiple joints in my body are like red or sore. So I think it's, I don't know. I've kind of just determined that it's arthritis, but obviously I'm going to get more checks and going to actually determine what it is.
Just out of curiosity, have you researched whether or not this is a potential temporary side effect of just getting COVID shots?
I have.
That kind of come and go.
So COVID's been known to activate like dormant things in your body. So rheumatoid arthritis isn't like something you can catch, or it's something that's like genetic. Like it just there's nothing you can do about it. Like it may just never flare up one day if you have it, and like maybe COVID like flared up mine. Who knows? But I think I was having minor pains before that, so I don't want to like jump in and say that COVID screwed me. Fuck the government. Fuck China. You know.
Yeah.
I really
not there quite yet, at least.
But that's sort of where I've been at mentally the last couple of weeks, which has been not very fun. But I've still found ways to, enjoy life. I'm not dying, I don't think.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that to my attention, Jacob. I will certainly be praying for healing.
I appreciate that.
Of course, hopefully sooner than later. And
I haven't really told anyone about it because I don't know. I don't like telling people about my problems. I know that's a flaw in me, but
I get
even
that.
my friends, I struggle with like telling people about my problems.
Yeah.
So.
Well, as cliche as it sounds, Jacob, you can tell me anything because I will support you in any way I can. And just as Jesus himself says, worrying, although this is much easier said than done as human beings, worrying doesn't add a single moment to your life.
True. Very true.
I would say do your best to leave it in his hands and be praying for the best results and, of course, treatment.
Thank you,
in the near future. You need those fingers to play video games too. Speaking of which, what the heck have you been playing?
So since we last spoken, I finished Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. And I gotta say, the end of that game was actually pretty challenging, which I really enjoyed. So I think I've said multiple times on the podcast that the game was just really easy. Like I just blew through it. I had multiple Pokemon that were just like over leveled compared to like all the gym leaders. So like really nothing gave me a challenge the whole game. Then I get to the Elite Four and like Victory Road itself. Like, so do you know what Victory Road is? It's like the path to the Elite Four at the end of the game. It's like the last journey, the last hurdle to the Elite Four, which are like the hardest battles in the game. Well, in terms of like the single player game. So I got to the Elite Four and I didn't look at anything. I didn't do any research because I wanted to be, as authentic as possible. I just wanted to go in with whatever I wanted to start with and just see how it went. Obviously I had like tons of items. Like you go into the Elite Four like as like prepared. That's the smart thing to do. Like you buy a bunch of healing potions, you buy revives, you buy just all kinds of stuff. Like you buy extra TMs for your Pokemon have like the best moves that they can possibly have. So, because you're going to need them, especially for this Elite Four, because they knocked out several of my Pokemon. And I think there's 5 battles. It's called the Elite Four, and then there's like the champion at the very end. He's like the guy on top, or the girl in this case. But so she knocked out all of my Pokemon except one, and like, so I won't lie, like I had to restart twice. So you can save after every battle, but I had to redo that last fight twice because she would just knock out my entire party with one Pokemon, and I didn't have a effective way of knocking this thing out. I think it was called Garchomp. It's known to be like her most powerful Pokemon, but it took me a couple tries, and I think I got lucky with like a crit or something to actually knock it out. But it was really challenging. It was very fun to play actually. So it more than made up for. Well, I don't want to say that it made getting to the end worth it almost. But really, I was just trying to pump through the game at the like that week because that Friday, Pokemon Legends Arceus was coming out, and man, I have been playing that game.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you played it.
I've played it so much. I don't have my Switch next to me; it's over on the couch. But I
got to say, initially, I was totally wrong about my expectation of reviews.
Yeah,
it seems to have reviewed really well for the most part.
Preston was getting me hyped up about it. He kept sending me these videos, and I kept watching them. And there's this one guy in particular named, I think his name's Austin John, but his YouTube channel is like the best. Like he has all these tips and like all this, like how to shiny hunt, how to catch all the Eevee evolutions, like in the first area, or not catch them, but like catch Eevees and then you can evolve them. But like the game is just so awesome. It's very much like, it's almost like Monster Hunter, except you're like going out and collecting Pokemon. Like, and there's just so many Pokemon. And then your main focus is, obviously you're going through like a single player story, which I really didn't expect to be as engaging as it is. Like I'm really enjoying all the characters in the story, all the like just and there's just this huge variety of Pokemon. And not only that, like, so you're filling out like your goal. You joined a team called you're a part of Galaxy Team, which is like, it was like an evil organization in, the Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. But back in the day, it was just like a regular organization trying to research Pokemon. So you're a part of this group called the Survey Corps, and basically your job is to fill out the first Pokedex. So, and because
this is the first ever Pokedex?
The first ever Pokedex.
That's pretty cool.
And it's not even like a, you know how the Pokedex looks like a cell phone or something. Mm-hmm. I mean, you do have a cell phone in this game. It's called like the Arc phone or something, and I don't know why you would have that way back in the day. But the Pokedex itself is actually a notebook. Like it's not even electronic at all. I thought that was a really cool touch. But
that is cool.
Basically, for every Pokemon in the game, there's like a list of different objectives you have to do, either like through battling against that Pokemon, through catching that Pokemon a certain amount of times, or like it's a part of your team and you have to use different moves a certain amount of times, or there's just so many like check boxes that you need to tick off to like have a complete entry of that specific Pokemon. And so basically I've just been catching at least one of everything like in the first area and just checking off those boxes. Like you go out into the wild, you catch them, you battle a bunch of things. There's just so much to it. Like there's so much you can actually do. But after you like do a bunch of stuff, you go report back to the camp at the professor, and he'll record like everything that you've accomplished while you've been out, and it'll like keep track of, and you'll get rewarded. Like if you do a certain amount of things, you'll get paid money. You'll get like experience towards leveling up your rank within the Survey Corps. And I think there's 10 ranks, and I'm at like 5 or 6 now, just through going through 2 areas of the game. Like that kind of just like gives, like there's 10 ranks, and you have to reach certain ranks to like access new parts of the map, or like new biomes to explore, for example. And then there's like, we haven't even got into all the crafting. Like crafting is a big part of this game. While you're out like doing all this research and stuff, you can collect several berries. There's wood. There's all kinds of ferns, plants, and you're just collecting all these things. And as you progress through the game, you get more and more recipes. And you get like recipes for crafting Pokeballs, crafting potions to heal your Pokemon. You get like berries to throw at wild Pokemon to like, distract them so that you can sneak behind them and throw a Pokeball while they're eating, which increases your chance of catching them. And what's cool is that through the research, you learn like what each Pokemon prefers, like, cause there's different kinds of food in the game. So you can craft these different like cakes, like little rice cakes and stuff. And like some really like the rice cakes, and some really like the pumpkin cakes or whatever. And there's like it has so much depth that I really wasn't expecting through, like, because I didn't do a whole lot of research for the game. I wanted to go in, just and have a new experience. And that's really the best part about this game, is that it feels familiar, but not nearly as much as it's fresh and a brand new experience. And it's literally what the series has needed for years, for decades even. And it's just, like, as a big Pokemon fan, like, I've always liked Pokemon. I haven't always played all the games, just through different portions of my life, but I've always just been a huge fan of the series, even some of the seasons of the show. I really like Pokemon. It's like one of those things that you grow up with, like, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. Like, Pokemon was one of those things when I was younger that I really like it. And I know I'm not alone in this. Like, lots of people watched it growing up. It's one of the most popular cartoons, animes, whatever you want to call it, ever. So it's just it's been really fun. And I have like a fully, like, I think my party is like they're up in the high 30s now, I think. But I've been like changing people out. I've been trying to just, I'll get to a new area and there'll be like 15 or 20 different Pokemon that I don't even have yet. So like, once you get to a new area, it's just like you're so overwhelmed with all the things that you could do. So you just end up spending, hours just exploring these biomes and just seeing what's out there and catching everything you can. and it's just been a lot of fun, and it's definitely a game that I've needed right now. It's like been a while since Final Fantasy 14 really that I've had like a game that I've been looking forward to play. And it's felt like months since I've really had that. So it's been
a while. Yeah, dude.
It's just been fun, man. I've been having a really good time.
That sounds really fun. I've watched a fair amount of gameplay since the reviews came out, and just based on your reactions to it and Preston's reactions to it, I'd like to say it's on my backlog, but if it weren't for Horizon and Elden Ring, and even now Sifu, I was going to say the reviews for Sifu have been really strong as well. If those three weren't on my like immediate playlist, I'd probably jump right into Pokemon. But I think I'm going to add it to my backlog because I haven't played all the way through a Pokemon game in my life. I've dabbled in like a handful of them, but I've never completed one.
I think this is the.
I don't know why, because I've always liked Pokemon. I just have never been like a massive fan. But
that's okay.
This seems, based on reviews and what you and Preston have had to say, it seems to have a lot of things that I love about RPGs and open world experiences and stuff. So
the open world almost feels like Breath of the Wild sometimes. Not really the climbing or like the vastness of the actual world, but like, and also not the graphics. Not that Breath of the Wild had the best graphics in the world, but it had better graphics than this game does.
Certainly had a better art style, that's for sure.
Yeah. Not that
art style goes a long way, man. It's like fidelity is one thing, and textures and lighting's extremely important. But even a strong art style will take you light years, like usually beyond just graphical fidelity. But I think everything you've shared and what I've seen, what's most exciting. I know a lot of people have said this, but the future of the franchise, just springboarding off of Arceus, is very exciting. And there's like a lot of potential for how they can improve and evolve this new formula that honestly a lot of people seem to have desired for a long time, but it's cool to see it finally come to fruition, and where they can go from here is even more exciting. So speaking of Pokemon, man, I was thinking about I can't remember what the movie's called. It's just called Detective Pikachu.
I never saw that.
I really like that movie a lot. I'd love to see another Pokemon movie that isn't necessarily like Detective Pikachu, but a live action Pokemon movie.
Yeah.
Could be awesome. Like even maybe more traditionally too, not necessarily the anime, but along those lines, maybe along the lines of a video game, could be kind of cool.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think we need more Pokemon.
Yeah,
just not like the old games.
I miss my cards, man. I had a lot of original, incredible cards. I had a real holographic Charizard at one point, which is now like an extremely rare and valuable card. And my mom got rid of all my Pokemon cards when I was a kid. I mean, I didn't know any better, but my mom got rid of all of them. And it's heartbreaking. Now, I'm not even thinking just the monetary value of those cards, but just having them would be incredibly nostalgic nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I had binders full of these things, dude.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had them like in order of like how they were in the Pokedex. Like first was Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, Venusaur, then Charmander, Charmeleon,
of course.
Charizard. I could go on. I'm a nerd.
Yeah, I love Pokemon cards. You're really nursing that nanner, by the way. You usually take this long to eat a banana?
Yeah. Well, man, I usually eat it while I'm drinking my coffee, and then like
snack on that all day.
Oh, I've been talking a lot. In my defense,
that's true.
I've had to focus on actually participating in the podcast.
Well, before we continue hearing about what you've been playing, Jacob, Victor wrote in asking our opinions on Dying Light 2 if we played it. And I figure it's appropriate to mention Dying Light, seeing as it released a few days ago, and the reviews are kind of middle of the road. The consensus being fun game, pretty weak story, still full of bugs that aren't game breaking but frustrating. And just due to reviews, and I've actually watched a lot of just standalone gameplay without commentary. And based on everything I've seen, everything I've read, everything I've heard, I'm going to wait on it as I thought I might. So I think I could definitely have a lot of fun with it down the road, but I'm not ready to play it quite yet.
Yeah. I've watched a couple people play it on Twitch, and it seems fun. But like I've said, it's not really my thing, I don't think. I don't know. The story seems really lackluster, which I would want to be good in that kind of game. It's, I've seen some of like the I don't know if they're cutscenes, but they're like dialogue between characters. And they've just been kind of meh. These people aren't that interesting to me. But I know Bojangles in our communities mentioned a couple times over the weekend that he's really enjoyed some parts of it, and that he's really enjoyed like playing it with somebody else. So I can imagine playing any game like that would be fun with other people.
Oh yeah, co-op especially, for sure.
But
Certainly what Halo's been severely lacking for its campaign is it will eventually be very fun to play with a friend.
But I don't think I'll be playing it unless it just like does something that blows my mind one of these days.
Yeah, I will at some point, just not yet. But what else have you been playing, Jacob?
I think that was it, actually. I haven't really been on my computer at all. So that's been about it for me.
I've played a handful of things, as usual. I've been very much in a shooter mood. So I've played more Infinite, of course. Still having a good time with that. Fortunately, they improved the big team battle matchmaking scenario, but there's still some issues that are occurring. One of which being, if your team's just totally awful, there's the big vehicles spawn more frequently now than they used to prior to this update. So now like Scorpion tanks, Wraiths will drop more frequently. Well, if your team sucks, your enemy team can just accumulate multiple heavy vehicles. And there's this clip on Twitter of like 4 Scorpions just spawn killing this team over and over and over again, which is just hilarious. And on one hand, it's kind of cool to feel like that a true war zone feeling can occur with that many big vehicles, but there's only one power weapon that spawns on these big team battle maps for the time being, or one or two, I think, and that just doesn't sustain the balance of that situation happening. So they got to suss that out. But
be honest, has that happened to you?
It has not happened to me. Fortunately, Zach and I and Andy have played a handful of big team battle matches over the last couple of nights and had a ton of fun with it.
Nice.
So it's been great for us, but I've seen that happening to some people on Twitter. But it's cool that's one improvement of many that still need to happen for that game, but they're on the right track. Slowly but surely, they're improving the game. I've also been back in Metal Gear Solid, the original. And
really?
Yeah, I can't remember if I mentioned forever ago. Obviously, we're just now back on track with the podcast, but I started it several months ago and played probably like 5 or 6 hours, but I'm back into it now. Played another healthy chunk.
Did you just pick up where you left off?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just fought Cyborg Ninja, also known as Gray Fox. Rescued the scientist responsible for the design and creation of Metal Gear.
Bastard.
And so I intend to finish that this week, especially before Horizon comes out. Because once Horizon's out, I'm going to be all in on that until I finish it. So, but really enjoying that. And I have every intention to play the rest of the series, at least the mainline series, like Sons of Liberty, Snake Eater, Guns of the Patriots. Want to play all of those because I really like Phantom Pain a lot. I've always liked that game, so I want to do my due diligence and play the rest. But really digging it. The writing is hysterical, to no one's surprise. I haven't done enough research on Hideo Kojima and the original design of Metal Gear to understand if it's intentionally extremely campy. I think it is. Like one line of dialogue that killed me the other night. You rescue this scientist and he mentions this undercover agent, this female agent who's kind of like dressed up as one of the enemy soldiers running around this base. And he's like, this one soldier had this amazing behind as she walked. Like her behind looked incredible. And Snake's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, it's the way she walked. I could tell that it was her. She had an amazing behind. And Snake's like, you must have really been looking. He's like, well, yeah, I can't help but notice that. It's like stuff like that is just ridiculous, dude. It's so funny, but really fun game. Even despite its age, the top-down camera perspective, it still like impresses me. Just the little things you can do in that game, whether it's regarding stealth or moving around the map and all the different weapons and items you have to manipulate gameplay is, for how old it is, really impressive. So digging it. I also started Crysis 1 Remastered because I've never played the Crysis games. And I just uninstalled it because, not that I disliked it, I just know that I'm going to talk about why in a second. But enjoyed what I played at the beginning, and even for its age, also pretty impressive. But the announcement of Crysis 4 was what inspired me. Like, maybe I should play those games because I'm a massive Hunt Showdown fan. So I like Crytek a lot. But maybe at some point I'll play through those games leading up to the 4th, which is probably still a long ways off anyway, so I got time. Yeah. But I uninstalled it because I finally picked up Escape from Tarkov.
Ooh.
And also did my due diligence with that one because I've had an interest in it for a long time, and I have a couple of friends who play it all the time. And so I finally watched a couple of videos explaining exactly what the game is. And I had a complete misunderstanding of what Escape from Tarkov was. And based on what was explained to me, it immediately inspired me to pick it up. Now, I haven't played it yet. I installed it last night, but I'm going to play a little bit later today. and I'm excited because the way the game's designed is just very interesting to me. So I'm excited to give that a shot.
Yeah, I think it's like one of the most unique experiences. Not that anything's, that things have never done things that game does, but I think just as a complete package, like it's a very different experience from most shooters.
Totally. And that's what attracts me. And I've always been a shooter fan. I mean, as you can tell, like a lot of the games on what I've been playing are shooters, but, so I'm very excited to try that. And what attracts me about it, it's just a very different, like you described, shooter experience, very much like Hunt Showdown. I played a lot of Hunt Showdown this week too, and I still am madly in love with that game. It's one of my favorite games of all time, easily. Just the blend of survival, horror, FPS, battle royale, PvE,
stealth.
PvP, Monster Hunter, stealth. So many different ways to approach each match. The escape aspect, the risk reward factor of building up your hunters and potentially losing everything you invest. It's just a thrill ride every single time, dude. Such an awesome game.
I actually love how the footsteps sound in Tarkov. Like they're just so loud. Like they're obnoxiously loud.
I love that too. One tiny little aspect that game has so much depth of what was explained. It was kind of overwhelming to watch the overview videos at first, but it made me all the more excited to play it. Yeah. Like even your ear protection affects the way the sound design affects you when you're playing it, which is pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah, I've thought about playing it myself several times, but I think it's just a little too much for me. I don't know if I'd really have the interest and the attention span to really dive down deep into it. It's a pretty hardcore game. Like if you get into it, like you're hooked. Like I feel like
that's
just
what
one
I'm
of those
excited
games.
about. I'm still dude, when I get into Hunt, I'm like, okay, I'm going to play a match or two. It's one of those games, dude, where just one more match hooks me every single time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you and I still need to play that. We've been talking about it way too long.
I know. I
really think you'd enjoy it if we played together.
I think I would too. I feel like I played it before, or maybe I just sat next to you while you played it. I don't know. I want to play it.
Much more accessible than Tarkov. Yeah, just the one video I watched of Tarkov, I was like, holy crap, it makes Hunt Showdown look like the simplest game of all time. But
I'd love to play it one of these weekends or something. One of these nights.
I also played Warzone last night, actually, with Zach and Andy for a couple matches. And we played really well one of the matches. It was fun, but that was short-lived. So
have you guys ever won?
Yeah, we have a couple of times.
Nice.
That's all I played this week, Jacob.
Nice.
There's a lot of news, so I say we go ahead and jump into it.
Let's do it, man.
Jacob, Sony has acquired Bungie. And,
my goodness.
I don't want to go into all the details. I mean, I feel like by now most people have heard everything there is to hear, but just our general comments. This is obviously not a response to the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard, because this was ongoing. This discussion was ongoing for roughly 6 months, according to Sony.
Yeah.
So this was already in the works. It was inevitable, but it seems the motivations were, one, Bungie has a very strong grasp on the live service style games, and Sony intends to have roughly 10 live service games developed between now and I think 2026 or so. So that's cool. It makes sense. I mean, that's something Sony is certainly lacking in their lineup of titles.
Yeah, definitely.
And Bungie definitely knows what they're doing in that regard. And I know Sony also wants to help them take their franchises to TV and movies as well, which is pretty cool. And I also love that just right out the gate, Jim Ryan stated, Bungie is remaining independent. We are just sort of like the umbrella. They're under the Sony game studios
financial umbrella.
But they're we're here to support them, but they're still doing their own thing.
Yeah,
and
I think that's good.
And it makes sense for Bungie, just what they've been through with both Activision and Microsoft in the past. Yeah. So I totally get that. And I'm sure that it was probably a strong talking point for Bungie, even more so than Sony, because I bet Sony was probably already on board with him being multi-platform. And I think, I think the reason they especially emphasized it with this announcement is because they want to set the precedent for the industry. Look, I think they're trying to play the good guy in the acquisition game right now. Look, we're not stealing anything from Xbox players. Everyone's going to still enjoy Bungie games.
Yeah.
Whereas Microsoft's been a little more tongue-in-cheek, a little more vague,
aggressive,
with what the future looks like with acquiring franchises. So
Bethesda.
Exactly. So I think Sony's trying to look like the good guy in this, and they've also stated like more acquisitions are to come. And there's a lot of speculation on who Sony could acquire next, but
yeah, apparently
it's very clear that the acquisition war, we're living through the acquisition war right now.
Yeah,
and then
definitely.
This generation is going to be very interesting because while studios are being acquired, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to see all these new iterations and new franchises really come to fruition. With, I mean, maybe we'll see a few between the next 3 and 5 years, but realistically, the next decade, we'll start to see the real fruits of these acquisitions.
Yeah, I agree. And really, we'll at the very least we'll see more money pumped into a lot of franchises that might not have had it before. Maybe these Fallout games will have a little more polish than they normally do. Maybe just stuff like that. Maybe Bethesda won't be making unfinished games. Who knows? But yeah. I've been thinking about who else Sony might be, pursuing. And I saw on Twitter the other day that apparently some shareholders or some company in, I think it was Japan. I can't remember. Or maybe it was China, but they bought a huge portion of Capcom recently, like within the last couple of days. So maybe they know something's coming and they're, getting a big stake. But who can really say who's going to be next? It could be a number of companies. So we'll see what happens, I guess. But in terms of Bungie itself, I think it's exciting. I mean, when Destiny, the first one originally came out, the Activision had they were partnering with Bungie, but they also partnered with Sony, and a lot of features were exclusive to the PlayStation platform. So it's not exactly surprising to see them working with them again, I guess.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I know a lot of people, whether they're serious or joking, have been like, oh, now Bungie can really make their Halo killer with Sony. Mm-hmm. And the irony being it'd be multi-platform anyway, but I'm very interested to see what Bungie's been developing alongside their updates for Destiny, because I still think Destiny is a very, very cool franchise. I just have not been able to get back into it because it's changed so drastically, especially since they departed from Activision, that I just continue to hear it's a very difficult game to jump back into.
Yep.
But I don't think that doesn't delineate my respect and former admiration of that series, because we played that for just hours on end for years.
I played it so much.
And even from afar, I can still tell, I know like with the Witch Queen update coming, like people are still like very stoked about that franchise. But that being said, like I cannot wait to see what Bungie's been doing behind the scenes for what's coming next, whether it's live service. I mean, my deepest desire is that Bungie would develop another like story focused single player and multiplayer, like PvP, of course, shooter like they did with Halo back in the day. And the challenge being like Bungie is not remotely the studio they were 20 plus years ago with the onset of Halo and that whole trilogy. So it's a very different studio now, but I still feel like there's something about the Bungie formula or that Bungie magic, whatever it may be. I don't know who remains at the studio that's been there since the beginning, if anyone for that matter. But I'd love to see them do something like that personally. But I've also heard rumors it's another live service game they're working on, just that's completely different from Destiny. So I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I mean, you say what you will about Bungie, but they know how to make a fun and good feeling shooter. Like through all the Halos, Destiny 2, like the polish of the weapons and then just how they feel to shoot is just top notch. Like they're some of the best to do it.
On console and PC especially, like both. Like it's hard sometimes to have a game that's multi-platform feel great on PC and controller. Yeah. But Destiny feels phenomenal on both.
I agree.
I think about that because I'm at the point now where I'm full. I've already mentioned this, I think, but I'm full on controller with Halo. I feel like it feels night and day better than mouse and keyboard. And it doesn't feel bad. It's just the way that game's designed. It's like it's designed with controller first in mind and PC, mouse and keyboard kind of tacked on. So full on controller for that. Whereas Destiny, man, like I loved it on controller, and what little I played on PC, I also thought was outstanding.
Yeah, so. I think it's great on PC. That's my preferred way to play it. I just don't play it.
And one of my vivid memories with Destiny is I was one of the, I haven't even considered this, dude. I was one of the first people on planet Earth to play Destiny 2 on PC because they had a preview event before it launched on PC, and I went to Bungie for COG to preview it with like literally 10 other people. That was it.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever told you, but I was like so envious of you getting to do that.
Dude, that's one of the, I'm so grateful for that. Like I don't take that opportunity for granted. Like that was amazing to be a part of. I was so thankful.
I would have
for
done
that.
anything back then to play that game early.
Remind me of the old community manager's name that everyone loved. Deej. I met him multiple times.
Awesome.
Super down to earth, nice guy. And I'll never forget that preview was shortly after Blade Runner 2049 came out. Yeah. And when we got to Bungie that morning, Deej was just kind of talking to us in a group. And we all were talking about Blade Runner 2049. He was telling us how he wanted to, because he lives in Seattle, or he did live in Seattle, and it was super cold at the time. He's like, I want to get that coat that Ryan Gosling wears, and walk down the streets of Seattle in his coat. I remember him saying that. But I remember, dude, this is crazy. Look at this. This hard drive right here I got at Bungie. I got multiple of these. It's a I think it's a 1 terabyte. This is a 500 gig, but I had 2 500 gig hard drives on Bungie that I still have that I got because they gave us all of our gameplay on these.
That's awesome.
And I still use them for like all my other work projects too. So I'm thankful for that as well.
That's awesome.
But anyway, I just remembered that talking about Destiny. But man, I would love any excuse to go back to that studio again, dude.
Yeah.
It's such a cool, like the legacy of like all their Halo stuff is still there. At least the last time I was there, there's still like these giant Master Chief statues and like all these awards all over the walls and like all these statues and like rare figurines of Halo memorabilia, in addition to all the Destiny stuff as well. Like, what are those main aliens and Destiny called?
Which ones? They're all like aliens.
Like the most recognizable enemies you fight. They're like the tall, slender ones.
Is it the Hive or the Fallen?
The Fallen. Yeah, the
Fallen
main
are the
like
ones that have
Fallen
like multiple
alien.
Limbs and stuff.
Yeah, those guys. There's like a big one of those in the office
wizard,
too.
Or the witch, whatever it was.
So, and I think they've since expanded their studio even beyond what it was last time I was there. But even like the layout of their development studio was just so cool. The way they had it laid out. And they had this display back in the day, like where their cafe was, where all these screens where they would just always have like Twitch streamers and YouTubers just live. And they could see also like the player count of whoever was playing Destiny in real time at all times.
That's awesome.
And they kind of used like the reactions they'd see on Twitch and YouTube and like the player count as like inspiration while they were updating the game.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool too.
I always thought that they always had like fantastic like feedback with their community. Like, because they do their TWAB, which is This Week at Bungie, every single week. So they're constantly talking to their players. And then I remember like back in the day, they would respond to people on Twitter and stuff back when I was like keeping up with the game. I just really always admired that. And then I quit playing Destiny and I eventually went back to like WoW and stuff. And their communication was always just so much worse than Bungie ever was. And it just made me like missing. It gave me this feeling of, man, I wish that I was still playing Destiny sometimes. Don't really feel like that anymore. But I do think of all my good times playing that game, and I had a lot. One of the most fun was when we put that group together through our community and did the first raid in Destiny 2.
It's still on YouTube. It still makes me laugh when I go back and watch that.
We were in there for so long. It was fun.
Yeah, good times.
I think we were in there multiple days too. It wasn't just one day.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember I came in after a lot of you guys had kind of played through it a couple of times and had it figured out, and I just kind of like breezed through it with you guys. That's what it was.
Yeah, it gets to that point.
Because you guys had to suffer through figuring it out, and then I come in and just like blaze through it with you guys in the first try.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate in that regard. But speaking of acquisitions and exclusives and everything going on, supposedly Activision wants to release the next 3 games on PlayStation despite the Xbox acquisition with Call of Duty. So that's apparently official. Like the next 3 annual Call of Duty games are supposed to be released on PlayStation due to commitments. So
I think one of those
that's reassuring for
Warzone.
PlayStation players. I mean, I can't remember the last time I played Call of Duty on a console. It's been a long time, but that's good for PlayStation players.
Yes.
And speaking of Call of Duty in particular, Infinity Ward has already announced that, of course, they're developing the next Call of Duty, which we kind of already knew, but they claim it's another leap for the franchise into this generation.
Okay.
So, and I believe them because 2019's Modern Warfare kicks every other Call of Duty game's ass in the last decade, easy. So I'm very excited to see what they're doing next. I've heard rumors of a Tarkov game mode, Tarkov-inspired game mode. I've heard rumors of a new and improved Battle Royale Warzone. And of course, just between Call of Duty mechanics, animation, and campaign, I think Infinity Ward is just above the rest. So stoked. And they said stay frosty. They said news is coming soon. So I'm hoping like by the end of this month, we have some news on what the next Modern Warfare game is like. Because I know Vanguard's pretty much, it's not dead in the water, but it's like, it's basically dead. Yeah. It's like not nearly as prevalent as past Call of Duties, not even Cold War for that matter. So
you know what we forgot to put in the notes?
What's that?
In terms of Activision, or on the same subject, Blizzard announced a brand new IP. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, I mean that's in my notes.
Oh, is it? Oh, I didn't see that. Okay, sorry, I'm jumping the gun.
Yeah, we're almost there. It's okay.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Respawn is developing 3 Star Wars games, and let me pull this up real quick. In collaboration with a new studio called Bit Reactor for the strategy game, but they are developing the next Fallen Order game, as well as a shooter, and Bit Reactor is helping them co-develop a strategy game. So, in regard to Fallen Order, if it is called Fallen Order 2, that's fine. But I always felt like the title Jedi: Fallen Order you could apply that to many other different titles, like Jedi: something else, Jedi this, Jedi that. Yeah. And that could confuse like the general audience potentially, but I personally am hoping that it is not a continuation of Cal Kestis's story.
Really?
I think he's kind of a boring character, honestly. I really love the game. I think it's awesome. I liked all the other characters, but I felt like his story, from what I can remember, is pretty much wrapped up by the end of the first game, because he's basically a Jedi Master at the end. Okay. He's very powerful, and their goal is, okay, well, we have this holocron, whatever it is, where all the Force-sensitive children are, and instead of keeping it, he destroys it, I think. So no one can find them. So that leaves the door open. I mean, he could appear in the sequel, but I'd like to see a totally different Jedi character, or I'd like to play a Sith character.
Yeah, I agree. I think
that'd be way more interesting for a sequel. So apart from the narrative, though, I think mechanically Respawn will take a huge leap with this as well, because they did an excellent job. Although I still stand by, I think it's very derivative of many other franchises, but it's positively derivative, because they adopted many styles of gameplay from other games, but applied them very well to their game. So I'd like to see a little more originality with the sequel.
Okay. Yeah.
It's very Dark Souls, very Metroidvania, a few other things in there, but because ever since I played Ghost of Tsushima, I think that combat's a lot more fun than the Soul-style gameplay that's in Fallen Order.
I don't know.
I would love to fight. Like, I imagine using a lightsaber instead of a katana in Ghost of Tsushima, and I was like, this could be so sick in a Star Wars game.
Yeah. I think it's likely that they keep the same style of gameplay, because it was
they probably will
so successful. I don't know. I kind of go in terms of like who the story's about. I don't really think I would mind what it's about necessarily. 'Cause I would be open to a lot of different stories, you know. Even if it was just Cal again, I think I would be okay with that. Obviously, make him maybe a little more interesting this time. Maybe add even more characters that, you know, around him, for example, to, you know, make him not even more likable, but just more interesting, I guess, and maybe go even further back into his past. I know we know a little bit, but I think there's still some cool stories that they could tell through Cal. I remember there's one companion that you had in the game that was really interesting to me. I think it was a female, but I can't remember her name or even what she looked like, to be honest. So maybe that's not a good thing.
I vaguely remember that too. I can't remember.
But I remember her being really cool. I always thought like, oh, will the next game be like a co-op kind of thing where you could play either one or play with a friend? But
I did love the lightsaber customization of the game was very awesome.
Oh yeah.
Like so many different ways to craft a lightsaber. It was cool.
I agree.
I think the cosmetics, like the ponchos, could see some improvement.
Yes,
some more interesting cosmetics would be cool.
A lot of them sucked.
But I really did like a lot of the planet hopping. It was a lot of fun. There were some planets I like more than others, but the planet hopping was cool.
Yep.
Combat was, although very Dark Souls, very fun, especially with, you know, like single blade, double blade, and then like dual wielding lightsabers.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't just like, oh, because it looks cool. It's like they all had very specific reasons for various enemy types. So really well designed in that regard.
I agree. What do you think about the shooter? Do you think it's going to be another Battlefront?
No, it will not be Battlefront. Definitely not. I think it'll be a single player focused, of course, multiplayer as well. But because Respawn, we can't forget. I mean, Apex is a clear example of just their ability to develop great shooters. But we can't forget how excellent Titanfall 1 and 2 are, especially 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the gameplay. I think Respawn has developed one of the best by far feeling shooters ever. With especially Titanfall 2. I mean, Apex feels great as well because it's basically the same mechanics. But thinking of the excellence of Titanfall 2's narrative and then also just its smooth, buttery FPS gameplay, they could do something so sick with Star Wars. I just don't know what they would do. Yeah. People have said like, oh, maybe it's a new Republic Commando game. That would make sense to me if it was Republic Commando. But there's so many things you could do with a Star Wars shooter, and Respawn at the helm, it gives me the utmost confidence. Whatever it is, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, as opposed to DICE, who's not really made any good games lately.
Right, and that's the thing too. I mean, Battlefront 2 is in a great place now. I don't play it, but I've heard nothing but good things, and what little I have played of it, even in recent years, is fun. But I have the utmost confidence that Respawn's going to knock it out of the park with their shooter. So
yeah, Respawn's like that one studio.
Too. They're like the Star Wars studio now, which is probably was never their intention, but
yeah, I'm on board.
I'm excited as a fan of Star Wars. So,
and not only that, but we're getting other studios that aren't EA making Star Wars games, which is cool.
Yeah, what's that other studio's name that's been controversial recently doing that Star Wars Eclipse game? I think they did Detroit Become Human. I always forget the name of the studio.
Yeah, what's their name? Is it I was gonna say Double Fine, but it's not them.
I can find it. Hold on.
Yeah, look it up.
It is Quantic Dream.
Oh, Quantic Dream, yeah.
Yeah. Developing Star Wars Eclipse.
Yeah, I wonder how that's going to be.
I have no interest at the moment, but I look forward to seeing whatever it is. Yeah. I know it's Old Republic era, I think.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if like that's... I mean, I think I would play a game like that, like a game like Detroit. And what are the games they made before that? God, I can't remember.
I think Heavy Rain, is that right?
Yeah, Heavy Rain. But I would be down to play a game like that, I think. I didn't play those games because I wasn't necessarily interested in what was going on. Not like a gameplay thing, but like a narratively. Like I just didn't care. Like Detroit, for example, like that idea just doesn't excite me very much. But if like something like a Star Wars game, that would be cool.
They also did Beyond Two Souls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never was really interested in playing Detroit, but I heard people who played it really liked it, but it's not for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard.
Jacob, we're on to your. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
No, you're fine. I don't need to say it.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're on to your Blizzard IP.
Oh, yeah.
This comes from Blizzard themselves. It says, Blizzard is embarking on our next quest. We are going on a journey to a whole new universe, home to a brand new survival game for PC and console. A place full of heroes we have yet to meet, stories yet to be told, and adventures yet to be lived. A vast realm of possibility waiting to be explored.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see whatever it is because I've never been that interested in the survival genre.
Me
I've
either.
played some games with survival elements I like, but never full-on survival games that haven't quite grabbed me. But people have been making great points about this announcement, is that Blizzard has thrived in making niche genres very accessible. I think that shining example is Hearthstone. Like I couldn't have cared less about card style games in the past, but Hearthstone, I fell in love with that game when it first came out.
Everyone did.
So I look forward to seeing whatever they're cooking up with this survival game.
Yep. I mean, you got Overwatch that pretty much just transformed TF2.
Like the hero shooter.
TF2.
Yeah.
That's what it's called, right? Yeah, I think so. But yeah, they basically just put the Blizzard polish on all these different niche kind of games. So it'll be interesting to see like what they actually make here. They've always been good at like making compelling worlds. That's one thing they've always been really good at. We'll see, you know, we got a bunch of new blood in Blizzard now. A lot of old people are gone. So we'll see if they still can capture that
new
magic.
Ownership too.
Oh yeah, new ownership.
Yeah.
Got Microsoft that's buying them out, you know. I don't know. A part of me still has faith that, you know, if they are so confident that they feel like they can announce this game, then it's probably pretty good because they cancel a lot of projects. A lot of people don't know that, but Blizzard works on a lot of different new things, but hardly ever do they ever like announce them or release them. So
Yeah.
so
I'm glad that Blizzard seems to be the type of studio that is very intentional with what they spend their time developing, because obviously these games take years to develop. And
yeah.
I'm glad. I mean, remind me, the Warzone 3 remaster or remake, that was not developed by Blizzard, right? It was curated by them, sort of facilitated, but they didn't develop it themselves, right?
What's Warzone 3? You mean Warcraft 3?
I mean, Warcraft 3, yeah.
It was so they were
'Cause I know people hated that remake.
yeah, that was bad. They worked with a Chinese studio, I'm pretty sure. No, wait.
Okay, so it wasn't like Blizzard themselves that are fully responsible for that.
I think it was Blizzard actually. But I'm thinking about the Diablo mobile game that's made by a Chinese studio. I think they did
Immortal?
make Warcraft 3 in-house. I'm pretty sure they
Oh.
did. Yeah, you remember?
I was gonna say, I feel like Blizzard has had very few just complete failures
Well, that's why
in their history.
so they're sort of losing their credibility over the last few years because they released something like Diablo 3 Reforged, and it was just a disaster. Like it was not ready. They didn't put enough resources into it. They promised a lot of things and then they didn't deliver on them, which was very unlike them up until that point.
Yeah, we can only hope within the next few years, new leadership will get them back on track.
I think that's what it's been, though. It's been very poor leadership and people that shouldn't be in positions that they are. And it's just been affecting their brand. And even all their live service games are really struggling right now. I think they're turning a page over, and they should be good this year or next year. But Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4 have been in development forever, and we have no sign of them coming out this year.
Yeah, not anytime soon.
I think they've both been delayed out of this year. I think we learned that last year.
Yeah, they have. Mm-hmm.
And they should be at the point where they're announcing the new WoW expansion, and there hasn't been any new content in their MMO since June, the end of June. That is such a long time. Like in those games, they depend on content like every few months flowing in, and they just haven't been able to deliver that. Which COVID could have had a big part of it, working from home, but they need to figure something out. I've actually been enjoying not playing WoW for a while. It's been nice to step away.
Nice. So plenty to play in the near future as well. So and
You're
you're
not
playing
gonna
Pokemon,
play.
so there's plenty to play in the meantime.
Yeah, got Horizon coming out. I've actually been enjoying like playing console games. It's been more relaxing.
Yeah, I look forward to sitting on my couch and playing through Horizon big time.
Yeah.
So I haven't done that in a while.
Oh yeah.
Crysis 4 is announced, as we mentioned earlier. Not too much to say other than that it's in development. So it'll be interesting to see what they do after all this time with that franchise and what they've done with Hunt Showdown. And of course, graphically, what it will demand from people's PCs. And console, of course, too, but especially PC.
I don't even want to think about that.
So I feel like it's kind of a gimmick, though. Like, I don't understand why. It's almost been memed at this point where Crysis, even in the remastered version, still has a setting called "but can it run Crysis?" That's like their ultra setting. It's like, that's kind of frustrating me. Like, just develop a game that looks great and plays well without like the gimmick of like, it looks so good your computer can't run it. That's stupid to me.
We're gonna develop a game for like such a minority of people to really enjoy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Anyway, that's happening. Rocksteady Suicide Squad has officially been delayed into 2023, I believe. But Harry Potter and Gotham Knights, according to WB Games, is on track for release.
The Harry
this
Potter
year.
thing surprised me. Didn't expect that.
Me too.
It still
we
could
were
be
long
delayed.
overdue for seeing more from that. And I just really hope it isn't the tragic case that's happened to so many development studios where like, the time has come. We can't wait any longer due to shareholders and the investment. Like, you just have to put it out. So it's going to be a real shame if Harry Potter releases and it's just a buggy mess.
Oh, yeah, I will be
Or
upset.
lacking features, like if they have to cut features that they had planned for the game just because of the due date.
Yep.
I would imagine Harry Potter's like tail end of this year.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like late November or like, I mean, fall, like hopefully, probably later this year for sure.
Yeah.
Gotham Knights is one I still don't have a ton of interest in.
Yeah, me either.
I'm keeping my eyes open and like keeping an ear out for like what it's like.
I think it has some cool things about it.
Yeah, what little I've seen hasn't totally grabbed me yet, but I look forward to seeing more. Because I love Batman, of course.
Would you have just preferred another Batman game? Honestly, Like, how do you feel about
personally, probably, but I won't know for sure until we like have a very strong understanding of how this game plays and reviews
I
specifically.
remember
So
when they revealed it, like they revealed a lot, it seemed like, and then they just haven't been quiet for years at this point, or a year at least.
it has been quiet for a while. So
I don't know exactly when they.
I'm assuming they've been hunkered down, just grinding away, getting this thing done.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you care more about the Suicide Squad game or the Gotham Knights?
Probably Gotham Knights. I've never been that interested in Suicide Squad.
Me either.
So, I mean, I think it looks really cool. I mean, gameplay looks really strong from Rocksteady, but just Suicide Squad is like an IP, I guess, from DC. It's just never interested me that much.
I think Rocksteady's doing something more ambitious, and I hope it pans out for them.
Oh, absolutely. They definitely are. So,
and I think them as a studio is like, I just like their games more than. Who makes Gotham Knights? Is it
I think it's WB
W Montreal.
Yeah.
I think
same developers of Arkham Origins,
which was a fine game.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, it's a really strong story. Most of all,
yeah. Have they worked on anything since then? Like, have they released anything?
Not that I know.
Maybe
of.
they were like collaborating with other WB studios. Because I don't remember them releasing another game. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think so.
Let us know if we're wrong.
To no one's surprise, Grand Theft Auto 6 is in development. So no big news. It's just official confirmation from Rockstar. I know a lot of people are hoping for female protagonists, which I think would be cool. Like just a crazy criminal female protagonist could be fun. Apart from that, though, I mean, obviously Rockstar always makes massive leaps with their titles, so there's a lot to anticipate and expect.
Yeah, I wonder like what that leap's going to be. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm in the minority, but I really enjoyed having 3 characters in this GTA 5 story. Like it was a nice transition to like different perspectives.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I don't know if they'd do something like that again, though.
I'm not sure because obviously spoiler alert for Red Dead. It's been out for a while, but you play as both Arthur Morgan and John Marston in the game, but mostly Arthur Morgan.
Yeah.
So
probably like 3/4 Arthur.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll go back to multiple protagonists or not, but I've heard the rumor of multiple time periods, like you bounce between 2 time periods, which that'd be kind of cool if there's just 2 characters and it's like back in like the 40s or something, and then also modern day could be kind of cool, but I'm not sure. So there's a lot of rumors surrounding that, but hopefully by the end of this year, we have some understanding of what's next. Because, I mean, they were, as far as I'm aware, solely focused on Red Dead for those 8 years of development. And one can assume they're still on the cusp of development with this game. If they started, I'm sure pre-production was happening during the end of development for, my mind's falling apart, Red Dead. But realistically, maybe the last 3-ish years they've been in actual development. So minimum of 5, I'd say, till we have something substantial. I don't know.
Yeah, and they said that this game is well into development. Like it's like you said, it's like been a few years probably where they've really been hunkered down, figuring out what this game's going to be. So I'm sure they're actually like in the process of making this game. It's not just like, oh, we've started our work. It will be out in 10 years.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see it, of course, and it'll inevitably sell gangbusters like
oh, no doubt,
GTA 5, and that's been just the unstoppable cash cow for them for a long time now, almost 10 years actually.
Yeah, if there's anything more certain in the video game industry is that GTA will make tons of money.
Yep, no doubt. I wanted to ask your thoughts on, it's kind of a minor story, but one that was on Twitter with the most recent Horizon previews was the game animation debate people have been having, specifically most recently with PlayStation titles. A lot of developers have stated, like many assets are recycled in sequels for games, which makes total sense, just the sake of money and saving time, especially if something looks great and doesn't need to be changed. I understand, but a lot of people have argued, there's the same getting in and out of the boat animations in God of War, and there's the same leaping off a cliff and throwing a rope in Horizon Forbidden West as there is in the first game. I was wondering what your thoughts are on that debate and people saying like, it's a sequel, even if it is similar, it should still be different just to make it fresh. What are your thoughts on stuff like that?
Yeah. Forgive me, I didn't really see this debate, but I think I sort of just lie somewhere in the middle, maybe, which is a boring answer. But I think every person in a sequel is expecting, a lot of brand new things or reimagining of how things were in the first one, right? But I don't think it's like lazy or um less like awe-inspiring for like things to be, some animations to be the same, for example, or some ideas to be very much like how they were in the previous game. I don't think that's like boring, or I don't know. It really just depends like what we're talking about, right? Like if if the combat is exactly the same as the first game, then that's going to be kind of upsetting, right? Like it's not that it was boring or not fun, but I, I don't know. Like as long as they change enough things that are refreshing, or like, and they don't have to be like animation even. Like it could have the same animations. And you're talking to someone that plays like games for very long periods of time. Like I'm very much used to playing the same things as long as there's new content, right? Like I want new stories. I want new things to do in games. Like as long as I have that kind of stuff, and like better, if things look better, like better graphics, that's always something I look for in sequels, for example. But I don't know. I guess that's kind of where I stand, if that makes sense. Kind of just in the middle. Like I'm understanding if some things aren't different, but I would like a lot of new things to get me excited about a game. Obviously,
I know what you're saying.
I don't know if that answers the question.
I think it's just a game by game basis where
Yeah.
it depends on if specifically if it's a sequel to a game, what a game needs to improve on. For example, in Horizon's case, I don't think it needed to necessarily improve on certain animations. Certainly, like characters' faces, animations, and stuff could be improved, which is seemingly has been improved with the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like leaping up a cliff and throwing a rope. On one hand, I didn't even remember what that looked like, so I didn't even realize it was the same until people pointed it out.
Mm-hmm.
But that animation looks sick, so why change it? Whereas facial animations could see improvement, and it depends on every game sequel. Like for example, God of War I can't remember a whole lot of what may or may not have needed improvement from the first game, but
Not a lot.
whatever warrants improvement in God of War's like Ragnarok sequel, improve that versus focusing on the little things that don't necessarily need to be improved is kind of where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, to one degree, I understand where people are coming from. Like I understand, like I think there's some people that are more ravenous and crazy about it than others, but I think the smallest desire to see just even the slightest change in an animation, I understand where people are coming from, but I'm more on the fence where if a particular feature or aspect of a game could use improvement, focus on that versus changing the little things that don't matter as much.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at.
That's the great thing about sequels, though, is that you have that opportunity to work with something that, hopefully was already really good. In Horizon's case, it was. And they can just focus on, like, they can really narrow down on what people maybe didn't like so much, or, just things that they really wanted to do, but they didn't have time for in the first game, maybe. And then if you have a big umbrella like Sony, hopefully you're given maybe not the time, but you're definitely given the resources, I would imagine, for a studio like Guerrilla to really take advantage of stuff like that. And hopefully they are getting the time that they really needed to finish it, which it seems like they are.
Yeah, definitely. I'm incredibly excited for Horizon. I have a strong feeling it's going to review very well. I mean, it looks incredible, but I know people are reviewing it. Obviously, people announce on Twitter as we speak, so I can't remember when the embargo is, but it's definitely soonish. Because I think the game's out on the 18th. Is that right? Let me double check.
Yeah, it's not this Friday, but it's the next one, right? Or is it out Tuesday? Games don't come out on Tuesdays anymore.
It is out on the 18th. The 18th is a Friday.
Nice. I like that they come out on Fridays now.
Yeah, so roughly 2 weeks from now. Yeah, stoked for that. And I'm going to focus solely on that as much as I can prior to Elden Ring. I've seen very little of, I've seen enough of Elden Ring to be excited, but I've seen the bare minimum of both games. So I'm very excited to go in somewhat blind and experience both. So, but yeah, I will be on my couch playing both those games for the foreseeable future. So
Same. Yeah,
taking a little break from PC. Now, that being said, I'm very, I want to make sure that Elden Ring at the very least runs at 60 frames on PS5. I think it should, but if it doesn't, I will buy it on PC. My problem is like, I want to experience Elden Ring on a bigger display like my TV, because my TV is awesome. But if it doesn't run well on console, then I'm just going to pick it up on PC.
Yeah.
But
you can just use a controller on PC.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, not worried about that. Just I want like a big display because the art style looks so gorgeous in Elden Ring and the world looks so interesting. I want to like feel like I'm fully enveloped by it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So whereas PC, it's like a much smaller display. Like for shooters and competitive games, it's the perfect size. But for games that are story focused and like single player focused, I want a big wide display. So we'll see. Waiting for reviews.
Oh yeah.
Last item on our news list, Jacob, is the Halo TV series trailer.
Oh yeah.
I was wondering if you've seen it and what you think.
I did see it. Forgive me though, I don't remember a whole lot about it. Not that it's bad, but I remember not being thrilled with Chief's voice, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, that's what's funny, dude. It's like normally with voices in games, like it's obviously Steve Downes and Chief are so synonymous. It's like you can't separate the two. But what helps me with that is, one, I think his voice in the show sounds cool. He sounds like the Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. But the reason why I can accept it is because it's called the Silver Timeline. It's not canon. So this is a whole different interpretation of the Halo franchise with a lot of familiar elements, but they're doing their own thing with the story. Mm-hmm. So I'm able to separate Steve Downes from Chief in that sense. And what does make it a little more challenging, I imagine, for some, is that they do have Jen Taylor voicing Cortana. So that's the same. But Steve, which it really honestly is shocking to me that Steve Downes isn't voicing him in the TV show. Mm-hmm. I have no idea why, actually. I'm actually interested to see if I know he's reacted to the trailer on his YouTube channel, Steve Downes has.
Oh, really?
So I'm going to watch that and see if he has anything to say and explains why he's not voicing Chief. But maybe it was in the actor's contract. Like, I'm not going to just put on this suit of armor and just be the body. I don't know if they'll show Chief's face in the show. Who knows?
I hope not.
But I think the trailer overall looks cool. I know there's a lot of memes about like the AK-47s 500 years in the future and the Chevy Tahoe on a foreign planet and stuff. But apart from that, I think the visual effects look pretty cool. Uh-huh. I think the action looks pretty cool. Chief looks great.
Yeah. I like the little tease of what are they called? The Swarm? Is that what they're called? That was at the end?
The Covenant?
Maybe it was the Covenant, yeah. The little the creatures.
I mean, I maybe the Flood will be in the show. I'm not sure.
Wait, it is the Flood. I thought there was like some little creepy alien.
You're talking about like the tentacle creature?
Yeah.
I don't know what that was. It's something else.
I thought that was that
I'm unfamiliar with.
I was going to say Hive, the Covenant, or the Swarm. I don't know what they're called, man.
I mean, one positive thing, it's rated TV mature, so it should be pretty brutal. You can see some blood on Chief's helmet at the end of the trailer. I'd love to see some like hardcore alien blood in the show. It'd be cool. Like, I'm ultimately, with it being a silver timeline, I'm hoping just for some kick-ass Halo action, because a lot of the Halo live action trailers of the games in the past have been sick. So I'd love to see that action on screen. I hope there's actual Halo music. This is the weird thing with TV shows and video games, is that the licensing for music is complicated. Mm-hmm. Like the Witcher TV series has good music, but I think it'd be cooler if it had whatever like a band and composer that scored The Witcher 3 specifically. That music is much better than the TV shows to me. Yeah. But obviously Halo has this long legacy of Marty O'Donnell's music is like, that is Halo. Yes. Like, it's such a part of the experience that without it, it'd be kind of strange. Yeah,
for sure.
So, but we'll see. I mean, I think it looks cool. I look forward to seeing more. And I think it debuts soon, doesn't it? Is it in March?
I think so. Or maybe it was May. I think it was with an M.
March 24th.
Isn't it Paramount?
Paramount Plus, yeah.
Ugh. God,
so, I mean, just to watch Halo. Yeah, no. I'll pay for Paramount Plus just to watch Halo because I'm such a big fan. But apart from that, I'm not sure if I'll keep it. So that's cool, though. That's so soon. And this has been in development hell for well over a decade. Mm-hmm. So at long last, we're getting it.
Do you know if it's going to be like a weekly release, or is it going to be all at once?
If Paramount Plus is smart, it will be. I'm pretty sure it will be, because as of right now, I imagine not many people are subscribed to Paramount Plus. Yeah. And this will be a big attractor for them. So they would be, I think, foolish to release it all at once and people binge it in a day and then just cancel their subscription. Yep. So that's why a lot of, even Netflix has already begun experimenting with weekly releases like other streaming platforms, because it keeps people subscribed longer. Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah,
which is hilarious. It's like we've come full circle. Like the price of cable is basically equalized by all the different subscription services.
Yep.
And now all their shows release weekly. So it's like basically having cable again.
Yeah. I mean, we knew this was going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
they weren't going to make as much money. Like Netflix has been nice. Like it was cheap. It used to be cheap. They used to just throw chunks of shows at you, but now it's a lot more, structuralized to make more money, which they probably need.
I mean, from a business perspective, I get it completely. So
yeah, I know they're pumping a lot more
is.
money into their shows, Netflix. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then we got COVID, which pretty much disrupted everything. But yeah, I'm excited for Halo. I'll watch it.
Yeah, it's looking pretty cool. Jacob, that brings us to AskIOG.
Oh man.
AskIOG is the part of the show where we answer your questions submitted through any of our social media at ItsObviousGaming, the AskIOG section of our Discord channel, or emailed to us at ItsObviousGaming@gmail.com. Question 1 comes from, forgive me, my friend, Will? It's W-I-O-L-L. Please forgive me if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. He says, what are your hopes and dreams for the new Hogwarts Legacy game? I should have mentioned this earlier. I apologize.
Yeah.
Also, has Jacob heard of the new MMO called Lost Ark?
I have heard of it, and I'm waiting for reviews. I might play it. Garrett's sort of like a. Have you heard of it?
I've not heard of it, actually.
It's kind of like it's like the style of Diablo, kind of, but it's like an MMO, and it has like a bunch of PvP. So I'm keeping my eye on it.
Cool.
Not really. I don't know if I'll play it or not. We'll see. But
to quote Batman from Batman Begins, I'll look into it. I love that meme. That GIF. I use it all the time. Hopes and dreams for Hogwarts Legacy. Let me first say that Jacob and I, when this game was first leaked, did a massive 45-minute reaction to the leaked footage. And it's still on our YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. If you were to just YouTube, It's Obvious Gaming, Hogwarts Legacy, or just Hogwarts video game, you can watch our reaction. We go really in depth on our hopes and dreams. And even over the last however many years it's been since then, have intermittently talked about our hopes and dreams for this game. So I'm not going to be too repetitive with what I have to say. I'll keep it very general. My general hopes and dreams are very choice-based, reactionary story elements where your choices do affect the narrative, specifically where you're placed in your house. Honestly, one of my biggest hopes is that you start out, the game opens after you create your character, you get your Hogwarts letter, and you go to Diagon Alley, and there's a whole opening quest line of even little mini side quests through Diagon Alley. Your main quest line, get all your school supplies. And even along the way, you have your option of do you want an owl? Do you want a frog? Do you want a cat? You can pick those. You have to go to Ollivander's and do a little mini quest of figuring out your wand. And I think it'd be cool if it isn't just everyone has the same experience with their wand. I think it'd be cool if even little decisions along the way to Ollivander's and even the mini games you play to acquire your wand will affect which wand you get. Yeah. And maybe even that will affect the RPG elements of how you cast spells and what kind of magic you can use. Mm-hmm. That's super in depth already, but I think that would be sick. And you're making decisions along your journey of getting your school supplies, leading you to the Hogwarts Express eventually. There's even a little mini quest in the Hogwarts Express. Maybe a fellow student is hey, I lost something. Can you help me find it? And you can either choose to help them find it or not. Little things like that. Maybe even the trolley comes by and chocolate frogs, Bernie Bott's every flavor beans, little snacks. Maybe they have little buffs or benefits to getting them. Yeah. Little things like that. But all of that leading you to the Sorting Hat at Hogwarts determines what house you're placed in. Yeah. So I think that'd be sick. Yeah. Just giving everyone a totally unique experience at the beginning. And then I of course hope that Hogwarts does not look exactly like the movie Hogwarts. I think there will be familiar elements, but I hope it does. I hope it's I think it's Avalanche as a developer. I hope they have their own take on what Hogwarts looks like to them to make it totally unique and fresh.
I could go either way. I really hope that the dining hall looks similar.
It does look similar. You can see it in the trailer. It looks similar, but just different enough. And that's the thing is that the only reason I hope for that is because I've played so many Hogwarts games at this point that look like the movies. I want something fresh. Yeah. This also takes place back in the 1800s. There's a lot of stuff you can do with that. Mm-hmm. And then just generally from there, going to class versus skipping class. Maybe you can go out at night for a side quest, and like maybe at some point you can acquire an invisibility cloak, and like making decisions along the game that affect the story. Of course, classes and side quest help you upgrade your spell casting abilities, your like maybe you can even like my character's like a potions master. That's the build I want to go for with my Hogwarts suit. I want to be a potions master, and like you're just a badass at brewing potions that give you all these benefits in combat or exploration, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
You'll have the Forbidden Forest elements. This is too much of an ask, but I alone just hope there's Quidditch in the game that you can play. That's, if not as good as Quidditch World Cup, the video game, just a very strong Quidditch mechanic system that allows you to play competitive Quidditch in the game. Be sick.
I think that's unlikely,
this is,
if I'm being honest.
This part's too much to ask here, but I would want it to be like you actually have to try out for Quidditch, and if you just blow it, you don't make the Quidditch team. Like, I think I'd be sick.
Hopefully you can drop a save.
Yeah. But yeah, I know Hogsmeade is in the game. You can be going to Hogsmeade doing stuff. So many different things you can do with the game, just generally speaking. I know you can ride a hippogriff in the game. That's been heavily advertised in the marketing already. So, yeah, there's a million things you could do with it. And I could literally talk about the potential of that game all day long.
What
those are my general hopes and dreams.
Is like the perfect game. But will that happen? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
I think that's very ambitious.
Those are my hopes and dreams for sure.
I think it's very likely that your time in the castle might be very linear. I have a feeling the game's going to be pretty linear, if I'm being honest. I think there'll be a lot of choices along the way, but I don't know. It would take a ton of dev time to really iron out every single one of those scenarios. You know what I mean?
And then it's one thing to iron them out and develop them, but then to polish them to work properly. Like, I continue to hear that games that have weaving paths, narrative paths, are so beyond difficult to develop. I can't even begin to imagine what that's like.
Yeah. And you're like developing something that not everyone will see, only some people. I don't know, it's weird. But what you said sounds like the perfect Hogwarts game. Honestly.
Preston and I have fantasized about it for well over 10 years.
Yeah.
Well over 10 years. So
don't have a whole lot more to add. I think you nailed it.
I could talk about it for hours, but it'd be sick too if this, I think you only go for 1 year. I think it's focused on 1 year. I think you're a 7th year student, if I'm not mistaken, which kind of bums me out. I wish you were starting at the beginning, because I love like the idea of going, you can still do the Diagon Alley thing, but you won't be sorted into a house. It might be like create your character and pick your house, which is lame.
Yeah, we'll see.
It'd be cool if it was multiple years spread across like a 100-hour game, where like year 3, it's the Triwizard Tournament comes to town, and there's like different challenges you do. Like stuff like that would be pretty cool if there were multiple years. But we'll see, man. Those are some of my hopes and dreams.
I'm trying to keep my expectations not low, but I don't know.
I have high hopes, but catered expectations is what I should say. Yeah. Very high hopes, but I don't let myself believe that's going to be the case.
That's good. Don't blow it.
I just believe in what it could be. Chris from the Empty Promise podcast writes in and says, what foods from around the world, any foods at all, have you not yet tried but would like to do so?
Oh, that's a good question.
Tried a lot of foods in my day.
I would love to try like real like sushi from like Japan, or you know what I mean? Like actually like something you would buy from like
a fish market in Hong Kong.
Yeah, like something.
I've heard some gnarly stuff about those places, man. I've also heard some good things, but a lot of gnarly stuff too.
Yeah, I guess that could be a little risky, but I don't know. Like, because I feel like sushi here has like it all tastes the same to me. Like, I mean, there's different kinds of sushi, but like everything doesn't taste fake. I don't think everything has a certain taste, and I want to know if it's different somewhere else, like where it comes from. You know what I mean?
You and I, next time you're in Atlanta, should go to, what's that place called? I always forget the name. I always have to ask Preston. It's called Cura. Mm-hmm. It's in Doraville. It's a Beltline sushi place where, you can just take the plates off the line at will. And you can also order specific things and they'll send it down the line. You can grab it, but it's all anime themed, and you win prizes based on how many plates you throw down the chute at your table. Preston and I went once. I think Preston won like a keychain or something, but
that's awesome.
It's a really fun place, and the sushi's great too. Mm-hmm. So I think it'd be fun to go there sometime.
Definitely want to go.
Yeah. Next excuse you have to come to Atlanta, man. Let's do it.
I'm down.
Like I said, dude, you're welcome anytime. I'm editing mostly at home for the next couple of weeks. So any day you want to come grab lunch or dinner, like by all means.
For sure. Okay. Maybe next weekend.
Sounds good to me, brother. Foods I want to try, though, it's hard to say, man. Like the craziest stuff I've tried are pig intestines in the Philippines. I had chicken hearts in Brazil. I've had frog legs in America. I think I've tried gator a couple of times.
Yeah, I've tried gator.
One food that I will never try. I just can't do it is balut in the Philippines. Now, some people consider it a delicacy, but it's these chicken eggs that are days from hatching. So it's like bones, organs, everything in these chicken eggs. It's like a chicken fetus. People crack open the egg, pour vinegar on it, and slurp it down like you would like a oyster or something.
Yeah, I like oysters, but I don't know about that.
Yeah, I'll never forget. I was on a mission trip in high school to the Philippines. Unforgettable experience too. I think I've talked about that in the past on the podcast, but we had a contest with the church we were partnering with, the Filipino students versus the Americans who could eat the most balut as a contest. And I was like, I want no part of this. I'm sorry. And this is right after I had pig intestines. So like, I'm not going to have this on top of pig intestines. So we had one Filipino American on our team who had balut many times in his life. He's like, guys, don't worry. I got this. I think he alone faced all of the Filipinos. So the contest began and he just began slurping down these eggs, dude, just one after the other. I think he had like 12 or 13 of them. Proceeds to puke his brains out all over the place and then continues to eat more of them. Ugh. I think he ate like 21 of these eggs and ended up single-handedly beating the entirety of the Filipino students on it. And we won the contest because of him. But it was the most disturbing thing to watch this man eat chicken fetuses, puke them all up, and then eat more chicken fetuses and beat them. I'll never forget it, dude.
Gross.
It was one of the gnarliest things I've ever seen.
So, I don't think I've eaten anything like that.
Yeah, one other cool story from that trip is we did a camp with the students there because our reason of being there was renovating part of their campus, a school there as well, and then also helping launch their student ministry. That was basically structured after the American student ministry at the time. Mm-hmm. And there was one student who his American name that he chose was Roy. I can't remember his Filipino name, but he told me his name was Roy, and I think he spoke maybe like 5 to 10 words of English. And I remember us sitting on this mountainside overlooking Cebu City in the Philippines, one of those gorgeous views I've ever seen. And the only thing we were able to connect on was music because he knew just enough band names for us to connect, talk about music. And one of his favorite bands at the time was Escape the Fate. Mm-hmm. I was like, dude, I've grown up listening to Escape the Fate. Yeah. And it was just the craziest experience, especially when I was that young. I was like right at the tail end of high school, as a senior in high school. To travel across the entire planet and sit on this mountainside with a student across the world and like connect on music was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had.
That does sound cool.
So, really amazing trip. Uh-huh. But that was way off topic, but that's some of the stuff I've eaten in the past. I can't say there's necessarily anything I haven't already tried that I know of that I want to try. So I'm open to suggestions, Chris, if there's anything that you suggest from around the world, anyone else out there. I'm open to trying just about anything besides balut. So
I haven't eaten shark yet. Not that I like expect it to be really good, but
shark.
I'd like to try shark.
Yeah, I've had calamari. It's okay. It's not my favorite, but I'll eat it. I like seafood generally. Like I love all kinds of different fish. Big fan of shrimp, of course. A lot of people love shrimp, but sushi, it's got me hungry, dude. It's almost lunchtime. I'm thinking, like, should I eat? Do I want Gusto today? If you never had Gusto in the United States, Gusto's awesome.
I thought Gusto was like a brand that owns like Taco Bell.
I don't know if they own Taco Bell, but Gusto is phenomenal. I don't know if I want that or if I want Poke today.
Ooh, I'm jealous. So I'm just going to have a frozen pizza.
Too. Nice. I had an amazing pizza last night from a restaurant called Avellino's in Atlanta. Really, really good. They're I wouldn't say they're a competitor with Antico, but they have the same quality of like authentic ingredients for their pizzas. It's really good. Mm-hmm. What did I watch last night while I was eating? Oh yeah, I watched Watchmen again last night.
Watchmen?
Because I haven't seen Watchmen in like over 10 years.
Yeah.
And being 10 years older, I even better understood it than I did at the time. And there's a lot of like, it's a Zack Snyder film, so there's a lot of just like hilarious, ridiculous imagery just for the sake of having it in there. Mm-hmm. But it's still like really beautifully shot. A lot of the visual effects hold up. And even the story is like, as dark as it is pretty interesting. Yeah. So yeah, I enjoyed watching it again.
I need to watch it again. It is a really good movie though. It's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, Rorschach is one of the edgiest characters I've ever seen in my life, but at the same time, he's pretty cool. I appreciate a lot of what he has to say in the movie. One of his iconic lines that made me laugh, that it's both cool and funny, is when he's like, "Hey, the world's a cesspool," and like blah, 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 blah. And he's like, and then the corporate elites and all the whores, once they begin drowning in this vile world or whatever, will cry out, "Save us," and I'll answer, "No."
So stupid.
It's like both badass and hilarious at the same time. But I've always loved his famous line too, where he's in the prison with like 50 plus bad guys. He's in prison and they're like trying to kick his ass, and he's like, "You don't get it. You're not locked. Or like, I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me." So good. Yeah, cool movie overall. I liked watching it again.
Nice.
What were we talking about? Chris, thanks for writing in, man. Yeah. Anything else you have to say about foods for right now?
I know I don't want to try octopus.
Why not?
Because I don't like octopus. They scare me. I don't want to eat it.
Like a tentacle gets stuck to your tongue or something.
Man. I don't want to try eel. Like, I don't want to try snake.
We're Americans, damn it. We only want cheeseburgers, pizza, tacos.
Thank you. Yes.
That's about it.
I know what I like already. I don't need to try all these exotic things.
Hot dogs.
I haven't had a hot dog in ages, man.
Dude, there is a kick-ass hot dog place down the street from me.
I think everything's down the street.
Have you been to a specialty hot dog restaurant before?
No.
Where they like deck out hot dogs with all kinds of different ingredients? Dude, it's really, really good.
I've had a QT hot dog like that.
That's not remotely the same.
I've had a ballpark hot dog.
Yeah, if you're ever in the mood for a good hot dog, good wiener, you come to me, Jacob. I'll treat you right.
I think I just need to.
I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about what I have access to over here. Maybe I'm talking a bit about myself too.
You.
Yeah, maybe a bit of both, shall we? Some chili cheese dogs, downtown Atlanta. Baked Jake writes in and says, "You get $50,000. What dead video game franchise are you kickstarting to come back to life? Love you, boys."
Oh boy,
love you, Baked Jake. What dead franchise? Medal of Honor, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Just because I love shooters and I grew up playing Medal of Honor, there's potential there to evolve it. But I mean, there's so many good shooters now, I'd probably just get slaughtered anyway.
Can Dark Souls be considered dead?
No, dude. That franchise is thriving, dude. Elden Ring is like the evolution of everything they've done.
Not so Dark really Souls is the alive same and franchise, though. Like,
it has a lot of familiar elements.
Yeah.
Very much an evolution, but familiar elements for sure.
Elden Ring might just be better than all those two. We'll see.
Yeah, so Dark Souls is the DNA of Dark Souls is still very much alive.
Yeah.
Thief. I mean, they launched a subgenre themselves. I mean, there's so many games try to emulate that formula. Thief. Yeah.
I'm
Where the hell is our Thief remaster or reboot,
Where's
dude? That's
Thief
what we need to reboot.
From the Shadows.
What are we talking about, man? Nothing else matters other than the Thief reboot with $50,000 as the Kickstarter.
In all seriousness, though, like I think that would be cool. Like, it has a very awesome. Like I love the style of the game. Like I loved the environments. Like I actually liked the city that you were in.
I get that.
I think third person would actually make it cool too. Like being able.
Let's not beat around the bush. It is the best game ever made, but it's easy to forget because so many other games have tried to copy it and just miserably failed. Of course, like Dishonored sucks. Any other stealth game that's even been remotely inspired by Thief definitely sucks in comparison.
So
but
stupid.
It's admirable to see studios try. You know.
Yeah. Thank you. I couldn't have said that better myself.
Thief and what else is dead that could be cool? I've heard people saying Dead Rising could be cool to reboot, but I've never been much of a zombie video game fan. But maybe Dead Rising. Is there a Nintendo franchise we're overlooking?
Ooh, that's good.
I know some people might say Resistance from Insomniac.
That's good.
I never played them, but I heard good things.
This is a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, dude, I know what I want. Sly Cooper, bro.
Ooh,
I am dying for a Sly Cooper game.
Yeah.
At least Sucker Punch give us a remastered trilogy. I would love that. 60 FPS plus on PS5, remastered visuals, I would appreciate that, but I still believe in a modern take on Sly Cooper with everything else like Dishonored, Hitman. I know they're not like Sly Cooper's an assassin, he's a thief, but there's so much to learn from what other stealth-based games have come up with over the years that you could really adopt some ideas to Sly Cooper and really make it special. So I strongly believe in a Sly Cooper reboot. Some people might say Jack and Daxter.
Nah.
Never played those games, but heard good things.
Played the first one. They were good. I think what's it called?
I'm acting like a despicable fanboy right now, mentioning all these PlayStation franchises.
I don't know. I can't think of anything right now. I'm blowing it.
It's all right. I can't really think of anything Microsoft related. I don't know, man. Those are a handful I can think of off the top of my head.
Bring back Kingdom Hearts, man.
Dude, what Preston had to say about Kingdom Hearts 3 like turned me off to the point where I will probably never play it.
You don't have to. It's just okay.
It's kind of like the end of Halo 3, like Master Chief's story narratively. In my mind, the canon ends with Halo 3. I think Kingdom Hearts as a franchise ends after 2.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful, perfect ending. If you don't include like the after credits, like Mickey sent us a message, something's happening. Cut that BS out and just end with Sora and Kairi embracing on the beach.
Yeah.
Which still makes me cry, dude. It's so beautiful.
The ending's sad in 3, actually.
Yeah, it's like one of the most. That is one of my favorite video game endings of all time. Easy.
3?
That Halo 3, 2.
Oh.
When Kairi and Sora like were home and she sticks out her hand and she has that star that he gave her in Kingdom Hearts 1 and they grab hands. It's the last shot and it cuts to black. Mm-hmm. Incredible, dude. Yeah. So beautiful.
Even though they're like 15 or something.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just like even if they're just friends reuniting, it's awesome. And the music too.
Yeah.
Your sanctuary.
Yeah, 3 didn't really have that like awesome song like the other 2 did. Like it had a good song with like Skrillex, but
Skrillex.
I remember the song. It was like because they always like release music ahead of their releases to get people excited, and it was with that one lady who always does the song or like the main theme. I forgot her name, but I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of the 3rd iteration, but there were some good things about the game. I think some of the Disney worlds were cool, but I think the narrative kind of fell short, especially after the long wait.
I even heard gameplay wasn't that great.
It was decent.
I heard it was very frustrating.
The whole like, there were these things like these action commands that you could do, and like a train would come and like kill enemies or something. It was weird. Like they would have these like action commands where, oh, you can summon in the teacups and they'll destroy all the enemies, or just random like Disney rides and stuff. They were like trying to throw in Disney theme park rides into the combat. It was weird.
Anyway, dead video game franchises.
I want to see Fable come back, but we're getting that.
Yeah, and development. Hopefully they don't blow it. There's a lot of potential for that too.
Yeah, it's a studio that's never worked on it.
I mean, there is hope. I mean, we've seen development studios completely evolve the type of game they develop, and Playground Games is an interesting choice coming off of Forza, but I hope for the best because I love that franchise. Didn't love Fable 3, but Fable 1 and 2 mean a lot to me, so I really look forward to seeing whatever they're cooking up over there.
At least they were making open worlds to some extent, you know?
Yeah, to some degree. Yeah. That's a funny thing. Their cars and environments look gorgeous, but everything else looks really bad in Forza. Like the people, like NPCs look awful. The animations are terrible. Not that that's even necessary in a racing game, but still.
Well, if you're going to have them, you don't want them to look bad.
Last one's from Carlos Perez, Jacob. Writes in and says, "What's good? AskIOG? Gonna bring back a throwback. Marry one, kill one, F one. Ooh. F is in play for one day, then don't touch it again for the year. God of War Ragnarok, Breath of the Wild 2, Horizon Forbidden West."
I feel like we've done this before. But that doesn't mean
I know
it's
my
not fun.
answers. I would marry Breath of the Wild 2, easy.
Ooh.
I would probably kill. Oh, dude. I'd probably kill Horizon. Or F, God of War.
Yeah.
I think so. Because as beautiful and as fun as Horizon is, I think I was more emotionally impacted. And even the gameplay is outstanding in God of War. That I'd want to choose that over Horizon. As excited as I am for Forbidden West.
Yeah. Mine's a little different. I would marry God of War Ragnarok. I would fuck Breath of the Wild 2. And I would kill Horizon Forbidden West.
Aloy's out of here. Robot dinos, get him out of here.
They made her look worse. Get her out.
Yeah. Good answers, Jacob. Good answers.
Yeah, I would say God of War is still like my most anticipated game, even though it's not really.
I'm dying to see more Breath of the Wild too, man. I can't wait to see more of that.
Yeah, those two games actually are like my.
I want a Nintendo Direct solely focused on that game, like a 20-minute demo like they did with Breath of the Wild before it came out.
I really hope we, at the very least, learn more about the game this year.
We should. Isn't it on track to come out this year?
I don't know if they've said.
I can't remember.
I would like that to be the case.
I hope we see it soon.
I mean,
I'm not going to lie to you, Jacob. I got to take a dump and I got to pee real bad.
Yeah.
I'm dying over
I also
here.
have to take a dump.
Yeah, I say we wrap this up and take care of our business.
Yes.
But Jacob, it was a pleasure as always, ladies and gentlemen. This was, what episode is this? 267 of the It's Obvious podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We love you to bits. This podcast is available on all your favorite streaming platforms, available on YouTube as well. There might be a video version this week. It depends if I can sync it up to this Google chat recording. Fat chance, but hoping for the best just to spice up the video version a bit. But thank you all as always for your support, for tuning in. Hope you have a great week playing games, and hope life is good. And we'll catch you next time.
Yep. Everyone have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.